Is Forza Motorsport the most accessible racing game ever? Let's find out. I'm Steve Saylor, I'm blind, and I play video games. To find out how, click here or click the link in the description down below. While you're down there, click the like and subscribe buttons. Plus, I actually just started a Patreon to do more accessibility related content, so help support me by going to patreon.com/Steve Saylor. Thanks. Now, when I reviewed Forza Horizon 5 a couple years ago, I felt for the first time I could not only as a blind person feel what it was like to drive a car, but race one too. Sure, it wasn't a perfect game, and I did need some sighted assistance at times, but at the time, it was pretty close. Well, Turn 10 took all of what Playground learned and cranked the horsepower up a notch with Forza Motorsport, because this very well may be the most accessible racing game ever made. Now, the biggest feature of Forza Motorsport is obviously the blind drive assist, which using audio cues can tell a blind player how to drive a car through the tracks without feeling like you're on rails. I did a video recently of me winning a race using blind drive assist. Check that out here. Blind Drive Assist gives you the same information everyone else has, and it's up to you as a driver of what to do with it. It is by far the most phenomenal feature that changed my mind regarding accessible experiences. Most often, accessibility in games is equated to a guided experience. It helps give you information, but also takes over in some areas. It can be more like a theme park ride, if that's a better analogy. But with Forza, you're in the driver's seat. You have all the information you need to succeed and to get better. Now, the only caveat I have to give is that sadly there is no proper tutorial to learn how to use Blind Drive Assist. In the settings, you can have an audio voiceover describing how the Blind Drive Assist works, but that's it. I was told that there will be tutorial videos in the works, but no word as of to this review as to when they will go live. Hopefully it will be available by launch. If you want to know more about how Blind Drive Assist works, once again, check out my video here or click the link in the description. So let's go over the rest of accessibility, as there is a lot to highlight. In addition to Blind Drive Assist, they offer other features for blind players, such as audio descriptions for all of the cinematic shots in the game.
A wide paved racing surface. A Corvette blasts past, accelerating over a concrete and iron bridge, navigating a sweeping curve at top speed through the lush rolling hills.
There is actually no story in Forza, but those vignettes that you see in racing games as the drivers and pit crew are prepping for their cars for the race, that's the kind of cinematics it describes.
Drivers and their teams prepare the cars for the race,
including also what the day is like on the racetrack, which is super handy because if it rains, that'll definitely affect your performance. If the weather is set to random, you definitely want to make sure blind players know that you may need to adjust your driving based on the slick road conditions it'll cause. So those audio descriptions really do help. There are also larger text options for all text in the game. It doesn't increase the font by a huge amount, and you can't adjust the size, but it is not a huge strain on your eyes overall. The screen reader is great with reading all text, but also, as a kind of a neat cognitive feature, is if you're in a menu and you don't want to hear the full description of a menu item, the screen reader doesn't force read it to you. You can hit right on the thumbstick to tell the screen reader to read that for you.
Blind driving assist off. Use right thumbstick horizontal inputs to navigate the following text by chapters. Enables multiple features designed to help blind and low vision players experience the thrill of motorsport.
Otherwise, the default is it'll just read the menu name only. That's helpful in eliminating extra noise when you just want to adjust one menu option. The screen reader also gives you vital information in races like lap time updates and whether you are faster or slower than your previous lap time.
Last lap 30.01 minutes, 24.266 seconds. Dirty lap, inherited.
Left 4.
You also can adjust the voice, pitch, speed, and volume of the screen reader, which is super helpful. Now, the next highlight does affect all disabilities, but I'll mention it here as it does benefit blind players as well. Even with the Blind Drive Assist options, you can have a more on-rail experience by enabling the other drive assists that can assist in braking and steering. It's great if blind players want to practice with Blind Drive Assist without going full on, or just for those casual players who need a little extra help. Now, before moving on from blind accessibility, I found one issue with the game that has to deal with contrast. Not to say the game doesn't have a higher contrast for all its text and HUD items, they do, but it's the racing line on the track to help you know the preferred route through a track, plus it gives you vital information as to when to slow down or brake hard into going into and out of turns. That's really the issue. The line works fine, it's not that, it's when the sun shines down the track and reflects off its surface. The racing line then becomes invisible to the point that I cannot tell when the game wants me to brake or not. It doesn't often happen, as it depends on the time of day the race is in and where the sun is in relation to the track, and can also be worked around by using blind drive assist. But as someone who relies on color to help with my vision, I rely on that visual cue of blue turning to yellow then turning to red, along with the audio cues blind drive assist gives me to know how to navigate the turns best. So it would help if there was a higher contrast of those lines and colors so it didn't blend into the road as much. Another potential sort of concern I have was in regards to multiplayer. Now, when you're racing in single player, you can be able to turn off car collisions, where basically it ghosts any cars, so you're not having to worry about basically running into any cars on the track. In multiplayer, that function is turned off, and there's not a lot of information that's given for a blind player to know if a car is nearby. There is a lot of sound effects for the opponent's cars that does pan left and right depending on where you are in relation to that car, but it is a little bit of an extra bit of learning curve to figure out how to best race with the multiplayer with blind drive assist. In other areas in regards to motor disability, for console users, the game comes with 15, yes you heard me, 15 custom control schemes for you to choose from, plus gives you the ability to create and copy your own to a blank control scheme that you can fully customize. For deaf and hard of hearing players, you can also have very decent subtitles, including you can increase the text size and background opacity. It doesn't have the ASL videos of interpreters reading the dialogue like it does in Forza Horizon 5, but it can be argued that Forza Motorsport may not need it as much, as there's no story dialogue with characters talking to each other as it does in Horizon. ASL is important, mind you, as in most cases for deaf and hard of hearing players, their first language is ASL, and ASL has its own grammar that's different than English. So even though there are subtitles, it's not in their native language. But I can see why it was felt not needed in this game as it was needed and a welcome new feature in Forza Horizon 5. And lastly, I do want to address the cognitive accessibility, as I think this game is a different experience than the Horizon series. The Horizon series is very arcade with some simulation aspects, and that's great for those who just want to jump in and race right away. Motorsport is a simulation game that does have a learning curve, but what is good about this compared to previous games is that Motorsport does make the learning curve a bit more flexible, and that leans into what they're going to be doing with this game, which is more of a cars of a service. Yes, you can fine-tune your car's performance like in previous titles, but the game offers you a tutorial in the Builders Cup series. In a series of 3 races, you get to choose 1 out of 3 cars to start with and race with, and as you drive, you gain experience points, which levels up your car, much like an RPG game would. While you're gaining XP and levels, you also get new parts for your car, which the game does teach you the basics of how to upgrade. But also, if you're not sure what parts are better or which parts are best for you, you can always hit the quick upgrade button to install the parts the game thinks would work best, and then you can continue racing. And if you feel the car handles differently than you like, you can always go back in and swap it out for something else. This is a huge cognitive relief in that you can just stick with one car and upgrade that as you like, which is kind of what Forza in Turn 10 is trying to encourage you to do. And in races where it's required you to use a different car, they still handle relatively the same, so you're not having to constantly relearn everything about a new car that you're not used to. The game really wants to encourage you not to go for the entire 500 car garage, but to find the cars you like, buy them, upgrade them, tune them how you like, and just race. Overall, this game far surpasses my expectations of what an accessible racing game can be. It shows how well Xbox does care about accessibility in many areas of production when involved in the right way. They've innovated to make this a worthwhile game for disabled players to jump in and live the fantasy of a professional race car driver. We may not be able to get into the driver's seat in real life, but this is the next best thing. I give Forza Motorsport for accessibility my very first 5 out of 5. Thank you so much for watching. I did want to be able to clarify that my 5 out of 5 does not mean that the game is perfect. It doesn't cover 100% accessibility. I'm sort of using the kind of funny scale in the sense that 5 out of 5 is amazing, or if you want to use IGN, they consider it a masterpiece. I am saying that Forza Motorsport is a masterpiece for accessibility. It is amazing for accessibility, and that is why I gave the score a 5 out of 5. If you have any questions about Forza that I didn't cover in this review, let me know in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and also hit the subscribe button. Plus as well, if you want to continue to support my accessibility work, head on over to patreon.com/Steve Saylor and sign up for some cool content that I'm working on. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next video. And as always, I remain obediently yours. Bye-bye.